And for the second time, Joseph Kosinski delivers us a movie of the summer with F1, starring Brad Pitt. And today I wanted to go over it and give my thoughts after seeing it and just kind of break down some of the stuff that I found interesting about the movie. So hopefully you guys can want to go out and see it because I think it is definitely worth the money. And as you could probably tell from that intro, I did like this movie a lot. I think it was really well made. And if you guys didn't know, Joseph Kosinski also gave us Top Gun Maverick. So I feel like he's earned at least the respect and opportunity to give his movies a chance, especially if they release in the summer. Because Top Gun Maverick was one of my favorite times at the theater in recent memory. So I was pretty excited to see this because I saw, obviously him directing it. I saw the cinematography in the trailers, the way they would shoot some of the cars, it looks like. And honestly, the cast was really solid too. I didn't know most of these actors, but obviously I knew Javier Bardem, Brad Pitt, stuff like that. So it had enough to draw me to the movie, and it definitely had enough to keep me more than seated. I'll start out with the stuff I liked. First and foremost, being that cinematography and filmmaking style. He has a really good way of making you feel like you're in the action. He did it with Top Gun Maverick, where the cameras would be like strapped into the cockpit of the fighter jets, and you felt like you were flying with them. And as cringy as that may sound, I know some people, they over exaggerate that, and I don't always understand what they mean, but there's really no other way to put it. I mean, he makes you feel like you are there. You are in the action. And I think that's really cool and really unique because I think some people try to do that, but they don't do it nearly as well. And he does it again in this one. He straps the camera right into the car with different angles, sometimes facing the drivers, sometimes not. Sometimes it's like on the outside of the car, but still on the car. So you get a nice little view of them actually running the track and racing. And I just think it's very intense and it's like a very visceral way to experience the movie. Because even if you're going to it like with hesitation or kind of mixed feelings, it's impossible not to feel that intensity. And it's honestly impossible not to be locked in on the screen while it's happening. I mean, there's multiple scenes where they are driving, and there's one specifically where Brad Pitt kind of locks in. That's not a spoiler. I mean, it's a racing movie, so you could imagine that there's going to be some level of focus. But the way they showcase it, it's almost like a runner's high. And I think it's really cool because I've never really felt that in a sports movie like this. And I do think this is a sports movie. I mean, F1 is a sport, I believe. So I thought it was really cool because you could just feel like the emotion that he's feeling. You could feel the focus that he's feeling. Everything goes quiet. Everything is just seemingly going perfect. It's just really cool the way he does it. And I think it's really effective too. There's obviously a lot of like close calls, a lot of tight races, tight turns, and rivalries. And there's just a lot of the racing in this movie. And it doesn't even have to be the whole movie for you to feel like you get more than enough of the racing, which is how you know it's so well done because it's just perfect in my eyes. Like I said in Top Gun Maverick, I loved the flying in that movie, and it's a joke, but that movie made a lot of people probably want to enlist in the military and fly those jets. And this makes you want to, or makes you delusionally think that you could just go race an F1 car, or at least makes you want to do that. So I thought it was really entertaining for that aspect of it. Now, the next thing I liked was the story and how it kind of went, especially with like all the characters. I thought all the characters were really, really strong. I mean, aside from some of the side, smaller characters, there was one little kind of weird subplot with one of his pit crew members. I'm not going to get too much into it because unlike 28 years later where I kind of had to spoil stuff, I feel like I don't have to for this. So I'm not going to, but there's stuff like that where it's like kind of weird, but I'll get into that later when I talk about my mixed things. But other than that, I think all of this cast and crew was like really perfectly cast and utilized. Like everybody feels like they had an actual reason to be there, and it didn't really feel forced like some movies can. Like they're just trying to fill out the cast list. So I really liked the fact that everyone felt useful and like they were a real person in this world and not just a movie character written into a movie. But obviously the standout is Brad Pitt's character. I mean, he's the classic tough around the edges old timer who comes in and disrupts a fancy program, or like a program that they've already got going, and he's going against the younger driver. I forget the actor's name, but his name in the movie is JP, or his nickname at least. I think it's John Pierce or something like that, but either way, he plays off Brad Pitt really well. Obviously, the old versus young dynamic, the rivalry there. Even though they're on the same team, they do have a rivalry. But again, that was stated in the trailers, so I feel like that's not much of a spoiler there. But it is a very entertaining thing to watch because they're both really good actors and they have great chemistry. I mean, even Javier Bardem's character, who plays one of Brad Pitt's former like racing partners, because they both raced in F1 before when they were younger, having to stop because of a bad accident. Even Javier Bardem's character is awesome. He is the owner of the team, and it's a dying team, so he brings in Brad Pitt, and I think it's just a really great way to kick off the plot. And they don't really seem to waste much time in this movie at all getting started. Like, you have to have some establishing things in the beginning, but even those establishing things are not boring. I actually really like them a lot. And I like his reason for racing. Brad Pitt's, that is. I love his reason for racing. It's not about money or fame. It's about the love of the game. Just pure love for the sport. Now, I don't know if this will be the final good thing I list, but it possibly will be. And it's definitely not least if it is last. And that is the music. The music in this movie was crazy. I saw that it was composed by Hans Zimmer, the score. So immediately, if you know movies at all, you see that and you get excited involuntarily because Hans Zimmer is one of the GOATs, if not the greatest of our generation. So it's really exciting whenever you see his name in a movie, and he did not disappoint here. Which is surprising because it is a very different kind of score for Hans Zimmer. It's a lot more like, I thought it was at least a lot more techno, a lot more intense, but it fits the movie so well. And he does it so well. I mean, the guy is a genius, so really it doesn't matter if it is different. Different is a good thing in this scenario. And I feel like the score really puts you in the movie, which isn't a surprise. Most people talk about how music transfers you or transports you, and how music is such an important part of movies. That's been talked about beyond belief at this point, but I just have to say it because it's true. I mean, especially as I get older, movies cannot be what they are without the music. You look at things like E.T. and Jaws and Jurassic Park and Harry Potter, and without that iconic soundtrack to each of those movies, I don't think they'd be the same. And this movie, I'm not saying it's an iconic soundtrack, but the soundtrack is perfect for the movie you get, and it puts you in that moment because the driving is great. The driving shots are awesome, but without that music, I really don't think you'd feel it like you do in the movie. And it's got a lot of that upbeat techno stuff like I was talking about, but there's also a lot of great original songs. I mean, well, not a lot. I should say there's like 3 great original songs, but on a movie, with some original songs made by big artists, that's a lot to me because usually when that happens, I don't like any of the songs the artists come up with. But in this case, I think they all knocked it out of the park. I mean, first you have Ed Sheeran's song, and then Tate McRae made one, and then I believe Don Toliver did. So, those 3 right there are amazing. And I listened to them on my drive home after the movie, and I even still listen to them like while I'm working out or something. So I think it's a sign of success, of a good song that they made. So moving on now, we'll talk about my kind of mixed feelings or the straight up bad stuff that I found. And starting out, I want to just talk about that plot line I was kind of talking about. This movie seems to be really tight and flowing really well, which is great. But there is that plot line where I was a little bit confused on why we're focusing on this person so much when it doesn't really go anywhere by the end of the movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, it has a resolution, but I just don't really understand the point of it. I could be missing something. And if I am, and you have seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. If I am, let me know down below, because I would love to know that I, missed something and it's actually not that big of a deal. But it did kind of distract me. I'm like, is this going? I kept like thinking about it in the back of my head because it introduced it early. I'm like, okay, I'll try to remember this is like a thing so I can look out for where it goes. But that never really happens, so I don't know. I guess we'll have to see if you guys maybe caught something that I didn't. Now, the other, I guess that you can call it a negative for me, is while I did like the story, I think there was a lot of the same stuff he did in Top Gun Maverick with the story, where it's like there's some good plot twists or twists on the genre. Because, these genres have cliches that you can't really get around. I mean, I see people complain about that a lot. Like, they always say, oh, it's such a cliche, but I don't really understand what you're supposed to do. It's like, it's a cliche, yes, but like, how exactly would you reinvent the wheel? Sometimes there's nothing to reinvent. Sometimes it's a cliche for a reason, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't think all cliches are bad or lazy. I think it's just the way you have to do stuff sometimes. But that being said, he did the same thing in Top Gun Maverick, where he turns cliches on their head and it works really well, and other points in the movie it doesn't work really well. And that's what happened here. And there's just a few of those parts, and I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to spoil it, but if you see the movie, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it just gets a little bit much. You're like, okay, can we just not do this? Like, I get it. You're being different, but still, I mean, come on. So, but honestly, I mean, other than that, I don't really have any negatives. I was just trying to come up with something. Like, I was just trying to nitpick so I could have something to give you guys, so I didn't really seem as biased on this movie. But I mean, I really love this movie, so I can't really find much else. As much as I want to try to find something wrong with it so I can give you guys some constructive criticism on it, I tend to be an overall like positive person when it comes to movies, and I used to be made fun of for that, like, oh, you like everything. And yeah, I mean, I like most things, but I don't like everything. But this movie, whether you're me or not, you're gonna like it. I think it's such a solid movie, and it's a perfect summer movie. If you saw Top Gun Maverick, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it is that. He does it again, and I think they need to just keep giving this guy movies that release in the summer, because clearly it is his forte, it's his thing, and he knows what he's doing. And I honestly would not mind a sequel to this. I think there's a lot of room left untouched in this, even though they do wrap it up really nice. There's still a lot you could do with it, as long as Brad Pitt's open to it, with him being, up there in age. But other than that, I believe that is it. So hopefully you guys saw this and enjoyed it. If not, hopefully you go see it and do enjoy it. If not, you can come back here and yell at me and tell me I was wrong, and I am too over optimistic and too quick to like something like everyone else used to. But I'm betting on the fact that I'm wrong. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.